Hello. It is January 2nd, and a little intro to what the challenge for January is 2025 releases that I am most anticipating from what I've gathered from work, from publishers sending books to me for what I'm most excited about. So I'm not home. I just finished working today. So when I get home, I plan on just sharing the rest of the books that I'm excited for this month and this challenge that I want to read. But for right now, I'll show you what I'm currently reading to kick off the challenge, and that is Meet Me at Blue Hour by Sarah Suk. And this is set in Korea. It's kind of, I wouldn't say like dystopian. I would say it's like a contemporary book, but the main character, one of them, Yena, she is the daughter of a doctor who created the Sorry Dream Clinic, or Sound Clinic, Sorry Sound Clinic, and it is meant to help people erase memories that are either challenging for the patients, difficult, like if they've been abused, like erasing those memories, or like if they lost a loved one, erasing those memories so they don't have to suffer with their grief. And it's stuff like that. And it's all done through sound, which is very interesting. And the main character, why Yena is so important in this narrative, is that she had a best friend when they were both 14. He moved away unexpectedly and never reached out again. And we come to find out 4 years later that Lucas, the other main character, it's dual POV, erased all memories of her. And here they are, chance encounter, meeting again in Korea outside of the clinic 4 years later. And they're kind of reconnecting, but only Yena knows what happened somewhat. She has to figure out why he erased his memories. And Lucas is trying to get into the clinic for his grandfather who has Alzheimer's and his losing his memory. And so they're running a procedure where they could hopefully restore memories as well as erasing them. And yeah, I'm 142 pages in. I started this shortly after finishing Dear Wendy in the last video, right at the end of December. And so I'm almost done, 130-ish pages left, and it's okay. In the intro, the author had wrote that they had to like completely kind of rewrite the story because what was originally intended was not working. And I don't know if this is particularly working either, because there's just definitely some flaws to it. It's not a debut book. I think the concept's just so out there, and that's why. But otherwise, it's very speedy, and this comes out in April of next year, of this year. Whoa, it's 2025. So yeah, I hopefully plan on finishing this tonight. I have a little bit of time, and I don't have to open tomorrow, so that saves me even more time to stay up late. But yeah, and then I also want to give, so there are 4 little free libraries on my walk to work. Well, in a different route. And so I took my morning, I parked very early, and so I took the walk and visited all of them, dropped some ARCs that have been sitting in my car for a little bit, and I found one book out of the 4 little free libraries, and that is A Bit of Earth by Karuna Riazi. And this is a middle grade, and it's been on my radar. It hasn't been very high. I don't know too much about it. I love the cover. And yeah, I think it was just a cool find. It had a cool little bookmark in it. And it was just a nice walk. It's very windy. It's very cold, but that was very nice. And then I got some ARCs from work from our children's buyer, who is now handing ARCs to me when they aren't interested in any of them. So the ones I picked out that are coming out this year as well is Blood in the Water by Tiffany D. Jackson. It's a middle grade. I don't know if it's their middle grade or her middle grade debut. But I'm very excited. I love Tiffany D. Jackson. Met her once at a Boston Book Festival, and she's fantastic. Love The Weight of Blood. And yeah, so excited about this one. And then I also got an ARC of Never Thought I'd End Up Here by Anne Liang. Oh, the middle grade's coming out in July. This one's coming out in June. I adore this cover. Now, hints for or not hints, I'll just tell you. I think next month in February, I'll be reading all of Anne Liang's works, because I have an ARC of all 5 of her books that she's ever written. And so I have never read any of them and thought it'd be fun, especially for the month of love, to be reading what is primarily contemporary romance stories and just see if I vibe with her work. And I'm like, I have an ARC of every single one, might as well, right? So that's a little haul for y'all. When I get back home, I'm going to share the other 4 or 5 ARCs that I plan on reading this month. And yeah, so let's get home. Hello. So back home, I'm going to tell you the other 5 ARCs that I've set aside for me to read within this month. And so let's get right into it. The first one, so I'm obsessed with like Disney reiterations, the Twisted Tale series. Like, I'm very intrigued by all of those. And so this one is not in that series, but it follows the muses of Hercules. And so it's called Bemused, and it comes out in January. It's by Farah Rashon, and she writes she started out primarily with romance books, I believe, and now like it seems like Disney's acquired her writing abilities to publish some books for them. So this follows the muses that do the awesome singing in the Disney Hercules movie, and this story follows all of them as they try and rescue their mother, who is the goddess of memory, and she's hiding from the gods and goddesses. And then she gets kidnapped, and the muses all gather together to try and rescue her. And so I'm very intrigued. I just love the Disney stuff, and I just want to see this in full. The next one is When We Ride by Rex Ogle, and this is in verse, so I'm going to finish this like super fast. So whenever I feel like just flying through a book, I'm going to pick this one up. And Rex Ogle wrote one of the best nonfiction in verse novels that I've read in a long time, if at all, and that was called Abuela, Don't Forget Me. And that was emotional. It was so good, and I highly recommend. But I'm super excited about this one. This explores bonds and boundaries of loyalty and friendship, and it's a fiction novel, and it's about, yeah, just friendship. I love a friendship story, or I want to see more. And so I believe this is going to be a YA. This comes out in March, so just very excited. The third one is called Eliza from Scratch by Sophia Lee, and it comes out in May. This cover is giving all good vibes. And this follows a girl who accidentally gets put in a culinary like arts class, and yeah, it's a rom-com and academics obsessed teen. Yeah, so it just seems lighthearted and fun and romantic, and yeah, this will make me long for springtime. My birthday's in May, so yeah, I'm just super excited about that one as well. 25, you gotta start getting your wish list going. The next one is Recommended Reading by Paul Kosia, queer LGBTQ plus a matchmaking book lover and an anti-romantic lifeguard set during the summer. This comes out this month, at the end of the month. And yeah, this seems like it might get a lot of buzz, I hope. And I really hope it's good because, you know, working in a bookstore and we got a matchmaking book lover and there's bookstore looking things in the background. So there's that. And then I am really intrigued by this. I really want to get into historical fiction a little more because I think I always love it. I just haven't found the right books that aren't so dense. Like, you know, I love Bridgerton. So anything that's kind of along those lines where it's not too heavy, just romantic, but also giving some historical background is totally my thing. So this one I'm hoping I love. It's called The Great Misfortune of Stella Sedgwick by S. Isabel. And that cover, it's just, the colors are great. I love the vibe it's giving. This comes out in July. So this is kind of a last minute one I threw in there because I'm so afraid that I won't like it, but I really hope I do. So in the order that we're going to kind of go in with all of these, I predict, so I hope to finish this either tonight or tomorrow. And then I kind of want to go on to read maybe Bemused, just something fantastical because I want to break up all the contemporaries because most of these are contemporaries. And then I'm thinking maybe When We Ride in the Middle of that, and then just carry on with the happy stuff like Eliza from Scratch probably after that, and then probably The Great Misfortune, and then end it off maybe with recommended readings. Good morning. So it is January 3rd. I'm already forgetting my days. And I finished Meet Me at Blue Hour, I think on the 1st. So my first read of 2025. And it actually ended pretty good. I think the second half was a lot stronger than the first half. And I think it's because the second half really cleared up what was going on. I just wish there was a little more maybe foreshadowing in the beginning, but otherwise I feel like it had a decent twist. Not the greatest, but a decent one. And then, yeah, it wrapped up kind of abruptly. I just think all the elements were there. It just needed to be more concise and clearer and edited a little bit better. And mind you, it's an advanced reader copy, so this all might be stuff that has already been fixed when the final product comes out. And originally, earlier in this video, I said I had a kind of plan for what the rest of the month was going to be, what I might read next. I believe I said, I don't remember what I said, but we steered away from that. The book that I am currently reading, the second book of the challenge, is The Great Misfortune of Stella Sedgwick, which the sun is so bright that you can barely see it. This is it right here. Comes out in July, by S. Isabel, and it's really good so far. The main character is Stella. Her mother used to be a famous columnist, but she was a black woman, and so her image was made to be like a white woman with a different name, and it was just like advice and ladylike things and all this stuff. And so the main character, Stella, she is inspired by her mother. Her mother unfortunately is passed away at the time of this novel is taking place, and she wants to be a writer, and she gets an unexpected letter one day from a family that took her and her mother in when no one else would, and they you know, helped in raising Stella and all of that. And the father of the 3 children that she grew up with, he reaches out because she'd like to see her before he passes away. And when she goes to the manor with her cousin, he says that he would like to give her his inheritance. The only caveat is that she has to get married. And this is one of those stories where she does not have any interest in getting married whatsoever. She wants to be an independent woman, writing all day, every day, and living that kind of life. But with all the money and inheritance that she could potentially have, it looks really good, because, that's just, her dreams would come true with that. And so we're now following Stella as she's reconnecting with the three children, of this man, one of them being Nathaniel, who is mixed race. And I love seeing the mixed race representation in this, because I'm mixed race. And so it's very interesting to get a historical context on that, and how it most words it probably did happen quite a bit in the past, of mixed race, white and black people coming together, and kind of the judgment and the criticism that they may have faced with that. Stella is predominantly black, and so yeah, just the racial dynamics are really cool. And yeah, so Nathaniel, he's in the picture. He and Stella used to be best friends, and then they grew apart, and here they are reconnecting again. My predictions is that Stella and Nathaniel are definitely going to be endgame by the end of this book, but the cousin Olivia is probably going to be a conflict of interest, because her aunt, Stella's aunt, wants Stella to help Olivia get set up with someone, and lo and behold, who knows, it might be Nathaniel. And so that's definitely going to cause some drama, and I'm all for the drama. I'm all for the Bridgerton-esque. This is in the 1860s, I believe. The Davenports I didn't love, but I love seeing that kind of black romance, black love, stuff. And yeah, I'm now, let's see, 69 pages in out of 338. My plan for today, I'm supposed to go into work around 7 a.m. on a Monday. I know, crazy. Even crazier is that I started reading at 4 a.m. this morning because I couldn't go back to sleep. So, and I feel like that's starting to become a habit of me waking up around 3 a.m. and then not being able to fall back asleep. So I really got to take more advantage of that, because that's just wasted reading time if I'm just using that spare time to scroll on my phone. So, with that, yesterday I had read another 100 pages out of The Great Misfortune of Stella Sedgwick. And then I took a nap, but really went to sleep. And so then woke up early, got right back into this, and I just finished. So we're done with book number 2 of January's reading challenge, and it was really good. And so I agree with the marketing of it being Bridgerton meets the Davenports. I thought all the right elements were there to compare it to both of those things. And I love Stella as a main character. I think that she is a really great protagonist and had a lot of growth towards the end of the novel. I loved the love interests kind of waving and flowing. It just had a nice balance about it. I love the side characters. I love the idea of the setting. We're in London, we're in Paris, balls. Now, I really want balls to be a thing again. I don't know. I mean, the fantasy balls have sparked recently in the past year or so, but I just want balls to be everywhere. Like, I want more people to throw them. I don't know. It's a dream. Um, it's a desire for sure. And so all those elements were great. And the one criticism I have about the book, and mind you, all of these books are not finished copies, so I don't know what the final products will be like. But my one criticism with this is that I don't like books that are written where, like, you don't get much descriptions of the land. Like, I don't mean heavy-handed, but I mean for a book that takes place in like 3 different areas in the world here, we don't get any descriptions of the travels. Like, and I'm not asking for like pages upon pages of transport. I'm talking like, was there a significant conversation on a train ride? And what are you seeing? What are they seeing as they're traveling between, like, we get walking, we get trains, we get, or maybe not trains, we get carriages, just give me a little more setting. And that would have made this book feel more well-rounded. Whereas, like, we just kind of jump. Like, we're in London, and then we're in Paris, and then all this stuff. So just a little ask for some more setting would have been more nice in the overall atmosphere of the book. I don't know what I'm reading next. I'm just gonna kind of play around with what I have in my pile. And yeah, so check you soon. So shortly after I had done the last clip, I was not feeling good. And so we're currently sick. I left work early. My plans for the rest of the day is to just try and read some. I started The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes yesterday. I'm 50 pages in. Obviously, it's been out for a long time, but I am genuinely interested in it. It has very short chapters, nearly 100 chapters, so you already know I can fly through that. And I'm thinking for my 2025 release, if I get to it, it'll be very quick. I'm thinking When We Ride by Rex Ogle might be another book that I tune into today. Yeah, it sucks being sick. I don't like it. It's mostly in my throat that isn't feeling the best. I had like a slight fever yesterday, a slight one this morning, and I was just feeling a little loopy. So I'm thankful to be home and resting. I should be home tomorrow, just working from home, which was already planned, thank God. But yeah, so it sucks, but there's some reading time. It is January 9th. It's a Thursday. I'm still suffering from being sick. Almost there. I don't have a fever anymore, thankfully. I did a whole shift at work. Barely got by, but I did. So yeah. The other big update is that my fiance is going to Disney World tonight, and so he'll be gone all the way up until Monday, and so I will be without him for a couple nights. And the thing about us, in nearly 5 years being together, I've only left him for one night, like maybe twice, maybe 3 times. To be apart for multiple days is gonna be really challenging for me because we've just never been apart that long. So yeah, it's going to be kind of rough. A lot of my nights might be kind of lonely and kind of isolated in a way. So possibly more reading, hopefully. With that, let me give y'all an update. So my third book of upcoming 2025 releases that I finished is When We Ride by Rex Ogle. And I flew through this in about 2 days because I was getting over my sickness, and it's good. Y'all, it's incredible. Like, Rex Ogle's book that won me over and introduced me to his craft was Abuela, Don't Forget Me, and it was so good. And this is his first YA debut novel in verse, and it follows Diego, who has a best friend named Lawson who deals drugs, and Diego has been told by his mom, like, don't get into that, study hard, get into college, make something of yourself, get out of this bad town. And so Diego is trying his best to be I'm blanking on the word, but he's trying really hard to make his mother proud and make something of himself. But the temptation is really hard, and Lawson doesn't make it very easy, and he calls him a brother. And so it's kind of drawing that line of, like, what do you do when you see your best friend, like, really suffering, and, like, you think you can change him, but you might not be able to, and what if life just doesn't make it work for some people? And so this was really deep, pretty brutal in that, like, it's a tough read, but, like, if you're willing, you're gonna learn a lot, and you're going to really appreciate it for what it is. So that's When We Ride by Rex Ogle, coming out March of this year. And I said I was reading the Inheritance Games, and I might in and out throughout January check it out, but so far some of the dialogue is giving me the ick. Like, they're not swearing, they're saying foxing instead of you know what, and it's I hate that. Like, just say what you mean, people. Just say what you mean. I'm like 70-80 pages into it, and, like, I just want the action to happen. It has over 100,000 reviews with a 4.0 something or other average rating. Like, that's not nothing. So I want to know what the appeal is. I really do, because I love Knives Out, and that's what it's compared to all the time. So, like, please, I just want it to work out. So we'll see. But what has been calling out to me, okay, is All Better Now by Neil Shusterman. This is a behemoth, people. This is, like, over 500 pages, and I only read one book, and that was a novel in verse that was over 500 pages last year. So this is a big stretch. This is not in verse, but it's Neil Shusterman, like, who wrote the Unwind series, who wrote Bruiser, who wrote The Schwa Was Here. Like, man is a force, okay? This comes out in February, and it's basically, it's almost like a COVID story, so, like, trigger warnings with that, but this is kind of post-apocalyptic in a way. Like, I don't really know how to describe it to you in genre sense, but the tagline here says, survive a deadly virus and find total happiness. Is it worth the risk? Is it worth the cure? So 1 in 25 people survive what they call the Crown Royale virus, and those who survive experience a long-term effect, utter contentment. So, like, they are free of stress, depression, greed. It's all those negative thoughts are gone. And this follows 3 main characters, and their different experiences with this virus and the government. And, like, what did I get up to? I got to page 22 last night, and, like, this is gonna be deep, but something about it was calling to me, and I don't know if it was the smiley face, but something about it just was like, drop the Inheritance Games and pick me up right now. So we'll see. I really picked a pretty sad and depressing read for while my fiance's away, and I wonder if my brain was just like, you kind of need that, girl. So we'll see. I will try and read some more tonight. My cough got in the way of me getting some more reading done last night. But yeah, I'm just whatever's speaking to me out of my 2025 arcs is what I will be picking up and exploring. However, I do hope to read Eliza from Scratch over here this month as well, because that seems like a really sweet contemporary read.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to work tomorrow fairly early and then check out a new bookstore in the neighborhood called Love Struck Books, which is a romance based bookstore in Boston. Um, and then come home and be a little lonely. But hopefully I'll be okay.
Beyonce is back from his trip, and I am very much relieved, and things feel normal again. And I feel a lot better from being sick. So things are picking up again. I, in my last clip, said that I was thinking of reading the Inheritance Games and then All Better Now, and I was in a little bit of a slump. And then there's this book that caught my eye. I get advanced copies of audiobooks from a site called Libro.fm, which supports independent bookstores. So if you want a good alternative, I highly recommend. And there was a cover I saw for a January release that I had not heard about. And the cover was gorgeous. And I didn't know when it would release this month. And I walked in through a back entrance at work one day and I saw it on our shelf. So I immediately bought it. This was last Friday or Thursday before the weekend. And once I got home after buying this book, I immediately dived in and I finally finished it just a few minutes ago. So that book is The Heart of Winter by Jonathan Evison. And this is an adult book. So it's definitely out of my reading range or genre or whatever. But it was so good. The reason why this cover appealed to me was because I was hoping that it was going to be about an older couple, because I don't read a lot about like older romance. I mean, this isn't necessarily a romance like your stereotypical, but it is following a couple that are in their 90s and have been married for 70 years. And the wife has oral cancer, and it follows them in 2023 and 2024 as she gets a surgery for it and then is trying to recover, and their grown kids are trying to convince the husband to put her away and that he can't take care of her. And so we're dealing with that kind of timeline and conflict. And then we start off a chapter in the 1950s when they first meet, and then it keeps going up in years, all meeting at this point in the end, like in the present. Um, and I adored witnessing the relationship in the present day. What I didn't like is that I did not think that they should be together. And I feel like this is part from me being in a really healthy and loving relationship. And just modern times now, how we view relationships and pairings. Um, since their relationship starts out in the 1950s, and it's a lot of like stay at home mom and father makes all the money and all this stuff, like there were just things that I really wish were different. There was also political differences, which was interesting, not a huge factor, but definitely a factor of a sort. The wife, Ruth, she had a lot of aspirations for her life that she had to sacrifice to be married and a mom and stuff. And I think what this does well at is convincing you that there is a relationship, even if it's not the greatest one. I think that this novel is different from what I see a lot of people gravitate towards. I highly recommend, if you want something deep, if you want something reflective and analytical about life and relationships and marriage over time. Since I'm getting married this year, I thought it was really like hard hitting because I hope to live long and live happily, and hope that by the time I reach the end, I'm with the person that I want to be with for the rest of my life. And that we made it type of deal. So especially when my partner was gone, this was wrecking me entirely at the start. Like, I could not stop my tears from flowing at the beginning half of this because I was alone here and things were really raw and emotional. So I give this probably it's hard, it's tough. Emotionally, I give it a 5. Critically, I give it like a 4 out of 5. So meet in the middle, 4.5 maybe. So yeah, that was The Heart of Winter by Jonathan Evison. So good. And cover, stunning. Like, I feel like this is going to be a novel that I treasure for many years to come. And if I ever reread books, I would probably reread it. We've read 4 books now for 2025, and I count that because it came out this year. So like, and it was one of my most anticipated for like a week. So like, there's something there. But where do we go from here? I'm a little lost. So what I did earlier was I wrote down all the names of the titles that I am anticipating on reading, or that I would like to read, that come out in 2025. And I put it all in a jar. So we're gonna do a live thing, and or live from this video, and I'm gonna shake them up, and I'm gonna pick one, and I'm gonna hopefully stick to that. So let's see what fate decides I read next, because I can't make decisions for myself. Let's see. I will show you guys first. Oh, They Bloom at Night. So this is a YA horror novel that comes out in March that Bloomsbury sent me. I have not read the author's debut book. I think she is a haunting before. And so, I'm intrigued. I feel like horror, I don't know if I'm in the mood for that, but I want to stick with what fate decided for me. So I'll keep you posted. It is, what day is it? Thursday, January 16th. Hi. So last night I did a thing. There's a huge stack of books on the ground, and those are books that I am unhauling because it is time to be real and let go of some things. So where that left things is I have an empty shelf there. This is what I'm filling in for books that I am currently reading. So like, the plan is to have this kind of fill in as I finish books. And then I have an empty shelf there. So I hope to bring at least another tote or 2 from my parents' house. I have like, I don't even know, 8 totes over there, and try and fill some gaps. But for now, I'm unhauling 100+ books, because most of them are ARCs that I just grabbed. A lot of them, or a portion of them, are books that I bought at book sales or library sales. And so I gotta be real. Like, I love a clean book, and a lot of these are not. They have yellow pages and look kind of crummy, so I don't want to read them. I don't want to touch them. So they're gone. Other books are ones that I started and just never got back to. So I figure it's been a while, I should let them go. But with that, I'm also going to show you some books that I got today because, you know, you can never leave the bookstore unscathed. So we have quite a nice bag of books. First off, oh, let me also show you the book that I started. So They Bloom at Night. This is the cover. It's very creepy with like a fish eye on her face. About 22 pages in. I haven't really fully gotten into it to really like share a lot of thoughts, but it's intriguing to say the least. I definitely think a horror is the nice direction to go in after reading such a real and emotional book. So I'll keep you posted on this one. But for books that I got at work, we have the next in the like adult romance meant to be series, Worth Fighting For by Jessie Q. Sutanto. And this is a Mulan retelling. And yeah, definitely. I have like the other three, so maybe I'll make a series of reading these. I mean, I want to do a Disney readathon again, so maybe. But I have that one. And then I got The Assassin's Guide to Babysitting by Natalie C. Parker. It's a YA. It has an interesting like premise. It's a thriller, talented bounty hunters, deadly secrets, found family. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever touch this, but it just seemed intriguing. It has short chapters, so maybe I'll pick it up soon. Maybe in this haul. Not this haul, this video. Let's see. Next one is one I did not know about that was coming out, but sounds so up my alley that it was on a pile on my desk from Children's Buyer, and so I was flipping through some ARCs and I took this one home. It's called So Oversharing by Alyssa Brent Wiseman, and this is about or the tagline in the back says, what happens when the children of internet influencers grow up and want to live private lives? Like, hello. Comes out in May, might also be a part of this challenge, maybe, I don't know. So very intriguing premise. Next one is Time After Time by Mickey Daughtry, and this is a YA sapphic romance from the screenwriter and co-author of the novel and film 5 Feet Apart. Now y'all don't know, but 5 Feet Apart is one of my all-time favorite novels and movies. I love both. And so, to have that name thrown in there and have it be queer and an upcoming YA, I thought, yep, I'm grabbing this today. Also comes out in May. Probably not going to read it for this challenge, but love that I have this now. Next one is one of my most anticipated reads of this year, and so it might make it in this video because it's a novel in verse, so I'd fly through it like no tomorrow. But it's called Under Neon Lights by Ariel Vinson, and it is first love at a roller rink and then gentrification on the west side of Indianapolis. So yeah, this has been getting buzz recently for early copies, and it's in verse, like I said. So this might jump real high, like probably next book I pick up for the challenge, and it comes out in June. So there's that. And then I got 2 damages. So when books are damaged at the bookstore, we are either supposed to donate them or trash them. And you know for sure we are not trashing them in this establishment. So I walked in this morning and saw 2 books that were damaged that I was like,
Yes, they are mine. I've claimed them. First one is, I already have an arc of this, but I wanted the finished copy because I love it. It's called Sword Crossed by Freya Marsk. Right here, finished copy. Not very damaged from the looks of it, except for like a tear right there. It's that serious because people want their books in pristine condition. But what I love about this is the sprayed edges that are kind of a little glittery, but not really. Some were, some weren't. And then the end papers. And then, is there anything under the dust jacket to make it uber special? No, but it's a nice mustard yellow color. I have not read this yet, but I want to, and I love hardcovers, so I was sure going to take that. And then the last one is one that is so high on my list to read. I don't know if and when I'll get to it, but it is all over the place. It's One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. And so, yeah, I'm sure you've probably heard about it around. The reason why it was damaged was the little box cutter got on it, or tore through it. So, yeah, I am so happy to have this now. I mean, obviously I'd prefer a hardcover or something, but this is great. And yeah, it's my little haul. I probably won't share and unhaul. There's just too many, and I shoot on a phone, so phone space. But yeah, so my hope is that I read some more of They Bloom at Night tonight. It would be awesome to finish it tonight, but that's high hoping. So yeah, more books home, more books gone. Story of our life. I am now almost done with They Bloom at Night. I'm on page 155, so got about 110 pages left. My plan is to finish it up and update you guys on that. It's okay. I'm a little like, I don't like how the publisher has really taken this book as like a standout of what they have coming out this year. Like, they're just doing a ton of marketing for this book, and honestly, like, I can see good elements, but there's a lot more bad elements where, like, I don't know, I feel like when I started reading it, I jumped right into the action, but like not a lot was explained about what is going on necessarily. So I don't know. I don't dislike it enough to DNF it. So we're kind of sticking with it because it's short. Hopefully it doesn't put me in a reading slump, but yeah, not great. I don't recommend. And I'll explain my thoughts when I finish it. On Friday, my friend Children's Buyer over here had dropped a book on my desk, and it's one that I was very excited for, which is the graphic novel adaptation of The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. And I read the third book in that series because I won it in a giveaway ages ago. Obviously, I didn't know what was going on, so I don't even remember what I even read. I had no real interest in reading the first book in the book format, like, you know, non-graphic novel form, and then I saw they were doing this, so I was like, oh, cool, I would check it out in graphic novel form, which is I feel like, getting on my soapbox, I feel like it's a very awesome thing to have graphic novel adaptions of classic, like, YA or middle grade stories, because it's like, if you don't think they're gonna age very well, you can, like, dive back in through the graphic novel adaptation and kind of get the gist. So I read this and finished it day of, and unfortunately I wasn't much of a fan. I don't think the plot really ages that well, even in a graphic novel format. I'm just like, I don't know. the plot was interesting, but I don't know if it was just the way that this is um designed and like written, but there were moments where I was like, am I missing a page here? I had no idea. Like the dialogue just like cuts into another conversation that doesn't make any sense. It was just a little all over the place. Like the main character, she's been grown up around psychics and she's like a battery for anyone with magic or spiritual things, and like kind of like an amplifier, if you will. And so her mom and others around her have told her never to kiss her true love. And then she sees her true love in a spirit form, and it's said that he's gonna die, and like then she meets him in person and gets roped into the other Raven Boys group, and they go to this prestigious high school and whatnot. And it was, I don't know, I was really wanting to be all over this, and just a no for me. So I'm unhauling this. Didn't like it enough to keep it. So that's really saying something. But I got into an audiobook, which I always want to, and I can never stick with one, or I can never find the right one. And then I don't usually pay very good attention to things if I'm trying to listen to it, because my head is so loud with my thoughts. But I did manage to read a 2025 book in audiobook format, and that is Wooing the Witch Queen by Stephanie Burgess. And this comes out in February, and it's an adult romantasy, if you will, kind of cozy fantasy, kind of like kind of political, but not in like any, fantasy political way. It follows an archduke who runs away, and he tries to find sanctuary in Queen Saskia's palace. And Queen Saskia is trying to find a dark wizard to work and clean up her library. And so before Felix, the archduke, can reveal himself to her, she thinks he's the dark wizard coming to apply for this job, if you will. And she, on the spot, is like, yes, you're my librarian now. Clean up this mess. You're not high and mighty. You don't matter. And so then we just follow over the months of Saskia and Felix kind of growing in their relationship. And then we also have two other queens. So this is the first in a series. The other two books will follow the other two queens. And the queens form an alliance to try and track down the archduke. And so obviously Felix hears that and he's like, oh crap, they're gonna get me. And yeah, it was funny. I really loved the narrator of the audiobook, and I wish I remembered her name off the top of my head. But she did really well in distinguishing the characters and their voices. And yeah, just brought some emotion into the audiobook, which I feel like more audiobooks need, because if it's just flatline, same tone throughout, like I'm not paying attention to much. So I finished this yesterday. I did a puzzle, and then I finished it up, and I give this definitely like a 4.5 out of 5. I think this is one of the best books I read this month. The other one so far I would say was The Heart of Winter. So that's my little wrap up for now. I imagine I have one or two more I can maybe fit in before the last week of January.
Goals align. Besides, you must survive for the sake of the...
So I finished They Bloom at Night, and I'm unhauling it. So positives I can say is that the writing is pretty good. Like, I feel like the author knows how to write. And I just wish the marketing or like the synopsis was better written, because this had a lot to do about gender and identity, and I feel like that got missed in the marketing for this book. So what I thought was more a horror, like a YA horror, was more like a psychological thriller. Also pretty gruesome. Like, this book is not a light read in description of, like, you know, the grotesqueness of what's going on. So trigger warning for that. And I feel like there's a trigger warning for sexual assault, so be very careful with that going into this if you do want to pick it up. It just wasn't for me. I really wanted to like it, because I've found that I do like horror, and YA horror is a lot more digestible for a lot of readers. So yeah, it was a no for me, Chief. So we are moving on from that, and the jar has picked Night Swimming by Erin Starmer. So this author wrote Spontaneous, which I've never read. I did own, and I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to get into it, so I unhauled it. But this takes place in one night in the summer of 1994, and it follows two teens. And they've just graduated, it sounds like, and it's supposed to be about these two teens that fall in love, I think, or yeah. So yeah, it just seems like a nice summary human reflection type of deal. Seems like it's going to be fast-paced. It's only 230 pages, and I started it this morning, and I'm already on page 12. I like where it's beginning. We're at a party. We definitely have established who the two main characters are, Trevor and Sarah. I think it's in third person, but yeah, so far I'm intrigued. I like the writing, and I really hope that this is a positive review, and that I will be able to hold on to this and not unhaul it. So we'll see. I'm planning on hopefully reading up to page 50 tonight. We'll see. I'm gonna be driving around with a friend and going to little free libraries and donating some of the books that I have unhauled in that 100 book pile. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Y'all, we must talk about my last read. That is Night Swimming by Erin Starmer. Now, last night, I really wanted to just sit down and read this book, and my hope was that I'd finish it. Like, that was kind of a reach, okay? Because I was on, like, page 20 or 30 out of 230 pages, and I started reading at 6, and I had to get up early today. So I was like, can I do this? Is it possible? And then I finished it at 11 p.m. last night, which is like later for me. Not so late in like, you know, how people normally would go to bed late, but like for me, that was late. I stayed up. My eyes were straining, but I stayed up to finish this because, oh my God, the mind trip that I went on, insanity. Now, like, this is a top contender for best book of this month. Absolutely. Like, okay, so here we go. We follow Trevor and Sarah. It's summer 1994. They both just graduated high school, and they're about to split off and go into their respective colleges and take on the world, you know, go into the next chapter of their life. Sarah comes up with an idea for their last summer before college, to go break in to the neighborhood's pools, like in the backyards of some of their neighborhood houses, and just night swim, right? Hence night swimming. And it's just Trevor and Sarah to start. And Trevor and Sarah, they are into each other, but Sarah has a boyfriend, and Trevor's a bit jealous, and Sarah's just kind of being evasive and not like going forward with Trevor, right? So we have that. And then Trevor tells their friend group that they're doing this, and then the friends tag along. So they're at this house that's completely purple, and this woman tells them, hey, did you hear, like, well, she catches them and she's like, oh, don't worry, you guys can stay. Like, I'm doing my midnight swim, and I remember being a teen once and all that stuff. So it's all good. They're all swimming, and this woman is told what they're doing. And she's like, oh, did you hear about this hidden pool in the neighborhood? And they're like, no. And then she goes, oh yeah, it's in this area. Like, I wish I checked it out. You guys should check it out. So they get there, and stuff happens, okay? And I cannot say what happens from there, because then it would be too spoilery. But this comes out in April, by the way. I can't wait to talk about this with more people, because and mind you, like, it's kind of on the synopsis, like how it says, like, this pool, curious things happen, and there's an unearthly twist. So, like, it was all there, but I don't like to read synopses, and I just kind of go into most books blind, or at least have some vague idea of what they are. And so I thought when I looked at this was just going to be one night, and it's summer, and it's going to be a contemporary YA novel. No, this took me down a complete cluster bluff. Like, it was just incredible. So where we go from there? I think now there's this one booktuber, his name's Ian, and I've really gotten into his content, and one of the things he does is videos where he goes around his neighborhood and he says, convince me to read your favorite book. So there's one video he watched, or he did, was Barnes and Noble employees convincing him to read their favorite books. So one of them was Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, and I have that. I've had it for a couple of years, and the way that Ian was talking about it made me really want to check it out. So I think that's what I'm going to move on to next. And it's nearly 500 pages, so it might be the last book I read this month. So with that, I probably won't make content about that, at least in this video. But what I will say about what we're looking for 2025. We'll see if I finish another one, and if I do, I'll give you a review on that. But what I can say about books coming out in 2025 from the overall that I read, it's looking like a fairly promising year. I think what I've started to see even last year is a decline in the editing of books. There seems to be a lack of care for polishing and refining, and I'm not sure what necessarily is going on, but it's making some books feel empty and really just not as fulfilling as they should be. This book here, gold star, like, immediately gave 5 stars after reading. So, like, that's one of the promising books of this year. The Heart of Winter was really good, and that was like the only finished product of this month. So, like, you know, we take some of that into account of, like, you know, finished books versus advanced reader copies. There definitely is a difference. So I don't know what these final products are going to look like. definitely a lot of diversity, which is great. And yeah, I don't know. I want things to feel more original. And I think for the books that I did not get to in this video, it's definitely possible that there's a lot of originality still coming this year. But yeah, I want more heart. I want more passion in these books. I don't want just books to be put out there because you finished a manuscript and it fits what's trending. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. I won't say this will be like the final conclusion of this video. I might put one more little clip in here to share like the overall. But yeah, I just, this book messed with me for real. And I am so glad for it. So April of this year, y'all better check it out. Please do. It's worth the read. It's Sunday, January 26th, and I did manage to read another 2025 release that's already out. Now, I was planning on going to an author event in February for this particular book. I don't know if it's actually out yet, but it was on the shelves at work, so I bought it. But it's fitting because today my fiance is gonna go look for suits for the wedding, so that's really fun. And it's just fitting what this book is. So it is Bookstore Romance, Love Speaks Volumes by Judith Rosen, and that photo is gorgeous. And that's actually at a bookstore in Boston called More Than Words. And yeah, this book has awesome pictures from different weddings and proposals. Let me find a really good one to share. This is really awesome. That one there, that's in a bookstore in Mercer Island, Washington. And most of, oh, this was my favorite. Look at that. Look at that book arch. That's awesome. So this was great because it just shared different couples' experiences when it came to setting up for proposals and engagements and photos and weddings, ceremonies, stuff like that. So definitely loved it. I flew through it the night I bought it. It's not very text heavy, and yeah, the images were really pretty, and it made me think of my wedding coming up in April. Ooh, and yeah, so I definitely highly recommend this if you want something that's sweet and short and just shares a couple more bookstores you might not have heard of if you are in the areas of any of these. There were a couple of Massachusetts ones in here that I've already been to, so that was really cool. And yeah, plans for today, while he's out having his fun looking for suits, I'm taking like a me day, and we're gonna try and go to a local cafe that is really pretty inside, try and read more of Spinning Silver. I'm now 50 pages in and definitely intrigued. And I still have until the 31st to potentially finish another 2025 release. So I won't end the video yet. When we get to the very end of January, we'll see what my status is and go from there. So taking a little me day, get a coffee. I just bought new headphones because my previous ones broke, so gonna be able to listen to some music while I do that. It'll be fun. So it's the same day that I recorded my last clip. I think I'm gonna conclude the video here. I say that for two reasons. One, I don't want to pressure myself into cramming in one last 2025 release for this month in like the 4 days that are left of the month. The other reason is that I am very anxious to start editing this and get this out to you all. So that's my hope for tomorrow, because that's day 2 of my weekend being off from work. So that's my plan. All the books that I'm keeping are right here. I also read Spy Family Volume 1 this month too, which I don't think I talked about, but it was fantastic, and I'm very curious to continue with that series. I also got all the Demon Slayer mangas this month, so now if we were to walk over, you could see I got all 1 through 23 volumes. I love that. I love that anime, and I read this like from volume 15 to 23 because that's where the season ended to the end, and so like I'm all for the movies that will be coming out. Anywho, this isn't about Demon Slayer. This is about 2025. Decent reading month. My favorites, if I were to pick, definitely The Heart of Winter. I give this a solid rating because of the emotional aspects and everything that I went through reading this. Very like somber, not like sad. I mean, it's definitely sad. Bittersweet is how I would phrase that. Next, for enjoyment, Wooing the Witch Queen was very fun. I highly recommend if you want a super light romantasy, and I think the audiobook was spectacular. So there's that. And then for overall, I'm not even gonna try. Overall wow factor, Night Swimming takes the cake on that one. Definitely a book that appealed to me the most for its originality and for its like gripping, like gripness. I don't know how you want to describe it, but like, you know what I mean. You watched my clip. Yeah. So decent month. Not great, not terrible, kind of in the middle. And I find like that's how most of my reading months go, is they're just kind of I came back from the cafe. I did read about 60, 70 pages of Spinning Silver. So now I'm like 100 pages in, and I really like it. It's definitely fueling what I want to read right now. So next month, what's happening next month? Month of love, Valentine's Day. There's going to be a lot to do for the wedding. By that point, it'll be 2 months away. So what we're doing is reading all of Anne Liang's catalog, because I have all 6 of her books in advanced reader copy form. So they're not the finished product, so I won't be able to judge on that. But we have 6 books, and I feel like I can do that next month. This month, I wrapped up with about 10 books read. Yeah, so I'm going to conclude here. I am very anxious to start next month's challenge because I am very curious to see how this author that's like big on book talk, like TikTok sensation, if you will, and from reading her debut book in 2023 to her upcoming novel coming out in June of this year, and there's one in April as well. So like she has had books published through like 3 or 4 different publishers, and most of them are contemporary. There's one adult fantasy in there, and yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But I am very intrigued by all of the books, each with their individual plots, and yeah. So thanks for watching. I would love a like. I would love a comment, especially if you are curious to read one of these books or have read one of these books or multiple. Like, let's start a discussion. Thank you.